And welcome back. I've had the honor of emceeing several events where Japanese American veterans were honored with Congressional gold medals many, many years after their contributions in World War II. And now there is more movement to make sure the recognition is widespread and preserved. Joining me now is Lawson Sakai, a member of the legendary 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and Christine Sato-Yamazaki of the National Veterans Network. Welcome to our show. Lawson, good to see you again, as we've seen each other at a couple of events. Give me an idea here in terms of, we were talking a little bit earlier about what's important to talk about, and one of the things that I think is that should be emphasized is that a lot of the veterans are passing away, and with it, the legacy and the stories are starting to fade, right? Are you concerned about that, huh?
Well, most of us are 80, 90 or more, and we used to have hundreds coming to our reunions. Now it's down to 15 or 20. And it's just so hard to get these old veterans up and around anymore. And the sad part is that the story is being forgotten. And just like all World War II veterans, it's so long ago, the young generation probably has very little interest in what happened 70 years ago.
We were talking a little bit about when I speak to students now, I'm surprised at the fact that they don't have as much background knowledge. One of the things that I want to make sure you get a chance to do is, what do you think is most important about knowing what the veterans, the Japanese American war veterans, did during that time?
Well, I think we have to go back to 1941, because the United States government declared us to be not trustworthy, even though we were American citizens. Yeah. And when they changed our draft status from 1A to 4C, and that made us an enemy alien. Mm-hmm. Now, we're almost without a country at that point. So I think a couple of years later, when they gave us the opportunity to form the 442nd, we had to volunteer. Mm-hmm. So I think that is a huge credit to the young Nisei. Most of them were in internment camps, volunteered to go and fight for their country.
You tried to enlist right after Pearl Harbor,
I sure did. My friend Ed Hardage, Roy Kettner, Jimmy Keys, we're all classmates. Went to the Long Beach Naval Base. Their all Navy fathers were in the Navy, and they took them. And I was the last one. Sakai, no, you can't go. And I said, why not? I'm an American. They said, I'm sorry, but you're not 1A. And my classmates said, well, the hell with the Navy. If you can't go, we're not going. And we all left.
Christine, give me an idea here in terms of what your project is about and how it fits into what Lawson wants to make sure people remember.
Well, when the Congressional Gold Medal was awarded by Congress in 2011, the unit, the three units, the 100, 442, and MIS, were awarded this beautiful gold medal. And it's actually on display at the Smithsonian at the National Museum of American History. But the problem is the medal is beautiful, but it doesn't have any interpretive element to it, any educational element to it. So what we're doing right now is creating a digital exhibition that will share the personal stories of the Japanese American World War II veterans. And like you said, the story is 75 years old. So what we want to do is share personal stories about the veterans, and I think there's a way that they're going to be able to relate to it. Their service, their struggles, the determinations, the sacrifice. There's relatable values that I think will transcend the generation, and that's what we're hoping to do.
And of course, the digital forum will be a perfect one to try to get the younger people interested,
yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely, because the children nowadays, they're learning everything online. And so when they look for information, we're hoping that they will come to this digital exhibition, and they're going to learn about these amazing heroes and what they had done for this country 75 years ago.
How can people find out more about this?
Well, the exhibition will be unveiled in May of 2016, so we have one more year to go, and at that point we'll do a big unveiling at the Smithsonian, and we will definitely promote it, and we're really targeting the students and the teachers and families to come see it. and to learn about it. So we'll definitely share the website at that time.
You know, one of the things that when we talk about what's going on now and what happened then, we were talking, for example, when the Middle East was happening and people were talking about putting Muslims in internment camps, and that we were able to make that correlation between, look what happened then, look what's happening now. What are some of the things that you want to make sure the younger generation now get out of a digital exhibition like that in terms of, for their own perspective, so it's relevant to them?
I think it's very important for the history to tell about the apology. In 1988 or so, President Reagan signed an apology to the Japanese people for what the United States government did to them in 1941, 1942. That is a tremendous thing. And I have a copy, but does anybody know about it? You know, this is quite an important story.
I happened to do some PBS national stories on that when it was happening. And one of the things I remember was that, first of all, they really had to make sure they started getting those compensation payments, because the people, like now, were dying so quickly and they had to get to them. But the thing I really remember was that the people who were involved wanted that apology almost more than the money, right? The apology was what was important to them.
Very important.
What about that in terms of in the historical perspective right now? Are you concerned that people maybe don't hold it as high as in importance as they used to?
The story itself, you mean?
Yeah, and the completion all the way to the apology.
I think the problem is that most Americans don't know about the story. And so I think awareness has to come first. And then once the Smithsonian is able to introduce it, and you know, the great thing about the Smithsonian is they get 5 million visitors a year, and that is a huge impact in terms of exposure. So once they see the medal and they go to the exhibition and they actually learn the history, then I feel like it's going to come to life.
Long overdue, right, Lawson? Long overdue.
Very much so.
Coming in time, though, at least. I mean, at least you're around to see
Well,
it. But
I'm still alive.
Yeah, but they took a while, huh? It's too bad a lot of people will miss it.
That's true.
Thank you both very much for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll get some more information
Thank
out
you.
of your
Great.
project.
Thank you very
Good seeing you
much.
again, Lawson. Well, the events and the dinners that have been fundraisers for the Congressional Gold Medal Exhibition project have been going on, but it could use even more public support. For more information, you can go to the nationalveteransnetwork.com. And coming up, linking those in need with those who can help them. That's next.